What is going on, everybody? FPL is finally back. I haven't updated the bar at the top, I've just realised, but I don't think there's anything really to change on that anyway. How are we all doing? I saw, it's 8 o'clock now if you're watching live. If you're watching back, I've started at 8 o'clock. There was like 55 people waiting to watch at like 7 o'clock. So people are eager. The game has been out since about 1:45 this afternoon. We saw it go down, then it came back up, fully updated. Unlimited transfers are locked in. It's happening. We said it would probably happen. We didn't say it would probably happen. I said it was a possibility. People said no chance. Then it got around. The big conversation happened because other people were mentioning it too. And it's happened. Unlimited transfers. And like I'll rant about it a bit later. I cannot believe that anyone with chips thinks they are in a worse position than someone that's used their chips already. But anyway, we can argue about that another time. What are we going to talk about tonight? Everything, I guess. There's only 9 days to go until the game is live. So players to get in, what chip strategies. I've got to be honest, I think this is... Like, I know people don't always use their chips in the same order during a normal season, but you know around the double game weeks, people are going to pop their bench boost, wild card, triple captain. I think it's actually quite difficult to choose a chip strategy because so many teams are different. I've only got free hit. Some people have free hit, wild card, bench boost. So it's all good. So unlimited transfers, you can use all your chips in game week. Well, no, sorry. You can choose to choose one of your chips in game week 1, apart from wildcard, of course. What else? There's no price changes until the deadline. So there's lots of stuff. We'll clear up the free hit in a sec, because I think people are still confused about the free hit. But let's say hi first. Let's see who's in. Matt, how is he going? What is everyone doing if they have all their chips? We're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about it broadly, at least. Like, I can't say exactly for everyone. You got free hit and bench boost. Good to see you back. How's it going, Asim? So I see people on the screen. What is that? Like I don't know, like a loudspeaker, a balloon. Look what we got. It's been a while. We got some party poppers. Party poppers are here. No sunglasses, no Christmas jumper. I used up the Christmas jumper joke already. Captaincy is tough. I want to go to Bruyne, but not sure if I trust Pep. Aubameyang to get 108. I mean, Aubameyang is probably a safer bet than any of the Man City players, but Arsenal at home, Burnley at home, I like that. I think that's where I'm going to go. Man City captain. Just not sure who yet. Seb, what's up? All the way from Vancouver, Canada, the home of FIFA. I always wanted to go there, but never got the chance. Matthew, how's it going, my man? Liam, what is up? I hope you're healthy again. I mean, healthy-ish. Could be healthier. It's lockdown though. Like, I'm trying not to beat myself up too much about it. Love that jersey. Had to wear it, yeah. Had to wear it. I actually did I did like a little segment on Man City on the Fantasy Football Scout Instagram. I'm not sure if it's up yet. I was going to wear a Man United shirt, but I thought I'd better not. Physio, how are you? How many double game week players? I mean, I'll tell you now, right, I've already started prepping a video for tomorrow, like in the last hour or so, based upon drafts and stuff. And I'll tell you now, I know it's been like less than 12 hours since the game... No, is it less than 12? Yeah, less than 12 hours since the game launched. Good maths there. And obviously, when you kind of think about it when you give it a chance to all soak in, think about it a bit more, it becomes a bit clearer, I guess. But right now, I think it looks difficult to choose a team, honestly, because there's only 9 game weeks to go. If you wild card if you use your unlimited transfers without another wild card, then you've got to think about the double game week and beyond. You go for Liverpool players, they're very expensive. The fixtures aren't amazing, but obviously they are an amazing team. Part of me wants to go not completely different, but a little bit different for sure. But yeah, there's loads to talk about. I guess we'll talk about it in a minute. Good to be back. Nice to see your forehead so shiny. I know. I need to. I guess I need to get makeup. Like it's because there's a light right here in front of me. So if I don't use that, the green screen doesn't work properly. But then it does like full on shine my head. I know. Whatever. Anyway, let's get a party popper on the go before we talk about any FPL stuff. Because I mean that's boring. Who wants to talk about FPL stuff? I guess that's not what you're here for. 9 game weeks, unlimited transfers, and 4 chips. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I think honestly, the one kind of big thing, like I think if anyone can just take away anything and just keep thinking this when you play the rest of the 9 weeks, it's a weird situation. Take what comes. try not to worry about it too much. It is going to be tough to like get this all correct. Like 9 weeks. Like if you create a wildcard team, for example, because usually like if I make a team at the start for Game Week 1, I'm kind of looking at the first 6 fixtures at max, probably 3 to 4. The thing is, if you do that, look at the first 3 to 4 fixtures, well, that's nearly half the rest of the season gone. So you don't really have a good chance to make up for it. So I feel like in Game Week 1 it doesn't make or break your season, but this really could now. Obviously, depending on where your rank is. Anyway, I hope this doesn't like... I don't think it's so loud it will just hurt people with headphones, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we'll say cheers to FPL. Hang on. Oh my... It didn't even come out. Look at that. It stinks, but it didn't even come out. Didn't even pop out. That's probably... Is it a metaphor for how my season has gone and how it's going to go? Awful. Worst party popper I've ever seen. There we go. I do have a second one. Will we try this? Let's try this one. I can't even... There you go. That's better. It's covered my keyboard. Anyway, that was the worst thing for a start of a stream ever. 2020 is due. I mean, if anything, if you ever want to sum up 2020, it is that. Look at that. Completely stayed in there. Okay, let me get my team up here. We'll talk about all that rubbish. I'm covered in party popper now. Just give up. Yeah, I should just end the stream on that. It's done. It's just absolutely done. How you doing? Hope the relatives are good. Yeah, they're all good. I think just everyone's a bit bored at the moment, aren't they? I'm just looking at virtual FPL. Mane scored twice. Trent Alexander-Arnold scored twice. Absolutely ridiculous. I think I've got Mane captain. Anyway, I know virtual FPL. That's not what you're here for. There we go. Anyway, okay. Team. Here we go. So this is my team, right? So we'll go through all your questions and stuff and talking points in a sec. Get your opinions on some things, right? But this is my team. Now, I did like a slow wild card, right? So during the break, I know some people shut off, didn't make any transfers. I made transfers basically every single week in terms of using my free transfers. One week I didn't use them, then I used 2 the next week, etc. But I literally used 1 a week. So I've built my team based on who had the best fixtures left. Now, the one player I wasn't sure about keeping or not was Ings, who does have a good fixture this week, not necessarily good after this week. So I think this team is okay. If we take it from a point, let's forget about the double game week for a sec. If we take it from a point of we're not 100% sure who's going to be in everyone's form. Sorry, who's going to be in form, both teams and players, right? We don't know that. We know Man United have got good fixtures left. We know that Liverpool's fixtures are okay, at least for kind of the middle of the 9 game weeks. I can bring them up in a sec. Wolves' fixtures are good. Everton's are decent enough after Liverpool. And I've got one Man City player in Kevin De Bruyne who's just been brilliant all year. And I've still got Salah there. And then on the bench, I've got a playing bench. Whether or not we need it or not, I don't know. Too much Man United. Look, it could be too much Man United, but I think the fixtures kind of warrant it. I think Fernandes, like no one's going to argue with me that Fernandes shouldn't be in this team. And look, if you don't like Maguire or Martial, fine. But I'm okay with it because the fixtures for Man United, especially after Spurs, and even Spurs could be a good fixture. The fixtures are good, right? I can't get Rashford in. I've already got 3 Man United players. Anyway, that's not the point. We don't want to sit here and discuss Man United players right this second. So basically, the fixtures that you see on screen are not amazing, but the fixtures for most of these players after this week are quite good. So I only have my free hit left. So I hate that I'm even saying this because getting unlimited transfers and not using them is so dull, but I only have free hit left, right? So I can't use my unlimited transfers and then come out of that with a wild card. And I should say 2 things before I forget to clear up how the free hit works, because loads of people seem to still be confused. So if you use your free hit this week, basically you see my team now. This is my team. If I use my free hit, I'll get whatever players I want in, and it will come back to this team. It won't reset to what it was before lockdown or anything like that. You won't be able to use your unlimited transfers, then free hit, and then keep your unlimited transfers for the next week. You're going to get your team back. So this is the team I will get back. And the other thing to kind of consider, if you're completely swapping your players around, so let's say it's going to get so confusing. There's so many variations. But let's say you've got this team, you have a wild card, so you use your unlimited transfers to go massive in the double game week, and then you use your free hit the next week to kind of reverse that and get all the players in that are good for the rest of the season that you don't necessarily want to hold past the double game week. You've got to remember team value as well. So if you've got a player that you bought in for like 9 million, they're now 10, you take them out, then you try and wildcard them back in, it's going to cost you 0.5 million extra. So I don't think that's going to affect too many people too bad, but I would definitely consider it. Especially with like, I don't know, De Bruyne or Salah, Mane, whoever it might be. Because I think most people, if they're going to do the strategy of double using their unlimited transfers for the double game week and going big, you probably won't go for Liverpool players, but you might want a couple of them when you wildcard. So you've got to think about team value and stuff like that. No quiz. I don't get what the quiz is about. Have I missed something there? Free hit is the right way to go. I mean, whether free hit is the right way to go or not, I'm still not 100% sure. But let's think about the double game. Because going into the first week, we don't know who's going to be good. So my kind of feeling is I go for double game week players for the most part. But Aston Villa, really not interested in... I could make a case for Samatta, I guess, make a case for McGinn, make a little bit of a case for Target. But no one really, apart from Grealish, I want. You got Aubameyang. Who else from Arsenal do I really want apart from Leno? Probably no one long term. Nketiah, maybe if he keeps starting, but I don't know. 3 Man City. Granted, yes. Do I want 3 Man City going forward though? I'm not so sure. I don't think the fixtures are amazing. I know that doesn't necessarily matter for Man City, but it's a lot of money to have locked up in those players. And then who's the other team? Sheffield United. Again, very, very happy to have them for the double game week. I'm not sure I'd want 3 of them after that. So, I don't know. This is why I'm thinking about free hitting, because there's a lot of players I don't want to keep long term. And I just think this team looks all right. I don't see a huge amount wrong with it, to be honest. Ings to Jota, job done. Yeah, so this is another thing. So if you've got bench boost, you can use your unlimited transfers and bench boost the same week. Same as game week 1, basically. So if you've got bench boost, it's probably the easiest time to get it done. I put a couple of drafts together. The one problem I found is I found it much harder to get. Like if I was going to free hit, I'd probably have Aguero and Aubameyang. I found that difficult to do with the bench boost because obviously you want a bench of 4 playing players as well. So I had to take Aubameyang out, which means I was losing a game because obviously he's got 2 to get a single player in that's only got 1 game anyway. But it did mean I could have a whole playing bench. So this is probably the best time to do it. There's other things to consider. Like Liverpool will play Man City in game week 33 or 34. I should really bring up FPL on my other screen so I can take a look at it. When do they play them? Game week 32. Sorry, game week 32. So you could wildcard after that. You could free hit in game week 32 and not have any Liverpool or Man City players, although those games can often be quite open. So it's really difficult to kind of pinpoint an exact strategy that everybody should use because it's just not as simple as that. Basically, there's a hell of a lot kind of going on. I'll try and go through some of the questions. But yeah, really quickly, right? Last time I'll mention it because I've talked about it a lot. I don't see how people would... I get the idea that people held their chips and now there's no double game week to use them for and that's what they were holding them for. I get that. That's maybe a little bit unfair. But most people... Like I use my wildcard. It wasn't to target double game week players. It was to target single game week players, which is what you've got now. So I feel like I get people are frustrated if they got the chips, but I don't see how they feel hard done by because you got the perfect opportunity to go for a whole wildcard and then get another wildcard down the line and use your bench boost in between. So I really think people with chips are really on something. They can do something more interesting now as well. Anyway, that's enough of talking about it. It doesn't matter if it's fair or not. It has happened. That feeling of having unlimited transfers and don't know how to use it, yeah, it can be... I mean, the thing is, everything feels more difficult when the game's just come out. Like, it's the same as in game week 1. You make a draft, by the time it's like 24 hours later, the draft's completely changed. And it's similar now because there'll be part of us that don't want to go for the same players as before. Like, we might think, will Liverpool be able to keep it up? Will Pep rotate even more? There's all these questions we just don't know. So it's going to be hard to make a team that you're completely happy with, I think. And because there's not many game weeks left, and especially if you've not got a wild card or whatever, if you get it wrong, it's going to be hard to shift away from it. Like I would like one. Looking at that team now, there's a couple of players I would like that I don't own. One of them being Son. And Arsenal players, although I wouldn't want many outside of Aubameyang, they do have quite good fixtures after the double game week as well. So Arsenal have Brighton, Southampton and Norwich straight away afterwards, which is pretty good. Whereas Man City, again, obviously better team, I get it, but they have Chelsea, Liverpool, and then some really good fixtures. So it's basically the Chelsea-Liverpool game. Then they've got Southampton, Newcastle, Brighton, Bournemouth, Watford, Norwich. It's pretty decent. I think one of the key differences probably for me for Man City is if I was holding a Man City player long-term, I'd probably want Laporte. But if I was just free hitting, I would probably go for De Bruyne, Sterling, Aguero and just absolutely go for it, basically. Thoughts on Jordan Henderson? I know he did okay towards the end of last season, but from a point of view about Liverpool players, like I just think it's a waste, to be honest, getting Henderson. I guess even if you're not tripling up on the main kind of three, then fair enough, but there's got to be better options, I think. 5 subs with Pep is bad news. The 5 subs thing is not necessarily as bad as it sounds. They can still only substitute 3 times, so they can't make 5 separate subs. And in the Bundesliga, it sounds like the top teams have actually maybe used their subs a little bit less, but most are still using 3 to 4 a game. So yeah, they're probably going to be some rotation, but we might see just more managed minutes. We might see like more kind of steady first 11s, but then those players get taken off. I think we just got to accept that. Got to accept it that you're going to see some more cameos, and yeah, some players are going to be miss out. Simple as that. I think you just got to accept that. And the thing is, it's probably a good time to get used to it because next season it could be exactly the same. Because if they're finishing before August, there's a good chance they probably try and get back up before September for the next season. So yeah, we should try and get used to all this now. Gorav, how is it going? All chips, wildcard intact. All chips, that's exciting, I think. You're using the unlimited transfers to bench boost in Gameweek 30, yeah. Wildcard in 31. Reina, Leno, triple Sheffield United defence. TAA and Target. De Bruyne, Mahrez. Grealish, Ozil, Cantwell. I think Aubameyang, Guerrero, Jimenez. Yeah, it's good. Like Cantwell is I think is a really good bench fodder option for bench boost. He's only 4.7 million. I think Norwich have got Southampton at home, so it's a pretty good player to have on a bench boost. I'm not sure about Aston Villa defence. I don't know how many points you're going to get from Reina, but I guess if you've not got the money to spend, then he's a good option. Triple Sheffield United defence, like I'm fine with it, and I will probably do that as well if I free hit. But I think I am prepared that I don't get any clean sheets. Like I know they've been really good this year, but I think Henderson has bailed them out quite a bit. And I know, like, are they going to come back and be just as good defensive as they have been for the rest of the season? Maybe they will. Again, I'm not against a triple up on Sheffield United. I would probably do it myself, but I think we've got to be prepared that it doesn't work out. But I like the idea of going for 3 defenders and not Henderson to get Leno, because it's not really an Arsenal defender I would want. Maybe Tierney, if you could guarantee he was going to start both. Trent, yeah, it's fine. Everton, I mean, I guess it's tough to go without Trent. De Bruyne and Mahrez is obviously one that you're just not going to be able to guarantee minutes. And Ozil was a massive punt, I think. He started a lot of games towards the end of last season, but didn't really get many points. So overall, though, I think it looks good. What's this other one? A little bit of everything. Thanks very much. Do we have stats on least sub positions? Guessing centre back, maybe we look at 4 or 5 at the back. I don't have that, to be completely honest. There was a thread by Neil on the Get Playmaker Twitter account, basically saying the top 8 teams made on average less subs than the bottom teams, but it didn't say positions. Like my guess would be that centre backs and goalkeepers are the safest, right? Between fullbacks and centre backs, fullbacks do a lot more running, so maybe they would get swapped more. But I guess it also depends on kind of squad depth as well, right? If you've got a really good centre back you can bring on, maybe you're more likely to do that. And if you haven't got a fullback to replace the one you want to replace, I just not convinced there's going to be enough rotation to completely change our tactics to start going 4 or 5 at the back. Maybe I'll be wrong about that. I don't know, but these teams are still going to want to win. They're not going to. I just don't think they're going to start rotating every single position every week. Now, one thing to take into account, I suppose, is there are a lot of games in quick succession, so we might see a bit of rotation. So you'd imagine the likes of Harry Maguire and stuff are pretty much nailed on. I do think Laporte at Man City is close to that as well. So you could be right. I just don't know if I can bring myself to go 4 or 5 at the back. And this is not a like logical, like rational thought process. But we've just had 3 months without football, 3 months without FPL. Well, apart from the transfer we can make during lockdown, I just can't come back to my team and start making and start playing 4 or 5 at the back. I just want to go for it. We've only got 9 weeks left. I mean, this season for me has been pretty awful. Anyway, so logically 4 or 5 at the back might be okay. I'm just not convinced we're going to see that much rotation where it will equal a huge amount more points, to be honest. Because the ceiling of a centre back is not that high anyway, unless you get the odd goal and potentially some bonus as well. So that's my thoughts on that anyway. In the same way we're all concerned about 5 subs and minutes being managed, the flip side is that players like Sané, Mahrez, Foden will all get minutes too. Yeah, absolutely. I just don't think they're necessarily going to get enough to warrant going for that. I mean, Mahrez has been so good this year when he's got minutes. Sané, obviously, we've barely seen this year. If Sané plays, then yeah, he'll be good, but can you just guarantee that? I feel like after De Bruyne and Aguero, Sterling is probably the next safest bet, but obviously he's also very, very expensive, so... Yeah, you're right, though. They probably will get minutes. I think what I'm hoping will happen, it's not guaranteed, of course, is that someone like Aguero and De Bruyne and Sterling, they might start every week, but maybe get like 60, 65 minutes, a bit more, if that makes sense, rather than getting a 90 minutes plus a 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it might be. We'll see. Yeah, so, okay, some double game week players, some centre-backs have a high ceiling. Yeah, Laporte. I like Laporte, honestly. I think if I was gonna free hit, I probably wouldn't go for him because I just want to go all in on Man City attack. But if I wasn't, yeah, Laporte definitely there. Son is someone I would like. He's quite expensive though. I'm thinking, like, how do I fit him into this team? I actually have 2 million for this team. I actually have 2 million in the bank as well. So I don't know if I can do something like going 3-5-2 maybe. Probably not quite got the money to get Son that way, but it's an option. Do I think Rashford will play back from injury? Yeah, absolutely. Rashford on the left, Martial out front, Sancho on the right. Maybe that's next season. We'll see what happens. With the unlimited transfers now, the option of swapping Martial has it crossed your mind? To be honest, I really like Martial. Like, I think if I was going for another midfielder, it's only really Pogba, so I'd probably just go for the guy playing up front. I could swap to Rashford, but there's a lot of other... Well, not a lot of, but there's a good few forwards I quite like that are cheaper. Jimenez, Calvert-Lewin, and even Jota if he's going to keep starting up front for Wolves, which we'll have to see. Wait and see. Is Mousse good? Mousse is... if you're going to go for a striker for Sheffield United, it probably has to be McBurney. I'm not convinced I would be... Or I probably wouldn't be expecting a huge amount of points from him, I don't think. Double game weeks confirmed, looking away from the next one. So basically, are there going to be any more double game weeks? So from what it looks like, there's not going to be any more double game weeks. But of course, that's based on... There's no more double game weeks as far as I know, if the games continue to fall as they are now. But as in, like, when the FA Cup games are, there's enough time for them to be played within the game week or whatever. So they're not... The FA Cup and stuff is not going to create a double game week. But of course, given everything that's happened... and it's not like the UK is over this situation or anything. I saw like New Zealand considering themselves virus-free now and getting rid of all restrictions. The UK is nowhere near that at the moment. So there's nothing to say that, you know, if there's a second wave or if the testing suddenly gets a bit high under all the testing the Premier League does, there could be postponements and then there could be double game weeks. But in terms of what we know right now, there's probably not going to be any. No. Just the one we got. Say someone gets the virus, they will need to rearrange. No, that's not true. Now, whether if the whole team got it, then that would probably be a bit different. But if a player gets it, that none of the rest of the players have to self-isolate. It's only the person that gets it that has to self-isolate. Because it's not like they're just testing. It's not just like, Laporte gets symptoms and they test him, and then the whole Man City team has to self-isolate, because they would have all been tested, so they would know if they had it or not, basically. Which Leicester players? All right, one, no need to be spamming. Leicester players, I don't think I would go for any. The only one that I've seen popping up a little bit is this Justin guy, 4.7 million. Because Pereira is not going to make it back for the rest of the season, I don't think, or for at least, it says on FPL, not back till the 12th of July, which would be around Gameweek 35, 36. But there's potential for him to not make the whole season. So that Justin dude, James Justin, should play right back, 4.7 million. So as an enabler, he could be good. But ultimately, I don't really like Leicester's fixtures that much. The opening ones are okay. Watford, Brighton, Everton, Crystal Palace. Maybe the FDR colours are putting me off a little bit, but they're okay. But after that, they're pretty awful. So they're only really short-term picks. Vardy is quite expensive at 9.7. But yeah, Maddison, Barnes. I think Barnes if I was going to have to go for another one. But Leicester are not really the top of my pick. There's a 14-day rule if you've been in contact. No, it's not the case. For the Premier League, basically, you get tested, you go. That's it. It's only for that player, not for the squad. So that's why, because if that was the case, then I don't really see how this would work, to be honest. But anyway, make sure to give the stream a like if you haven't already. We're on 94 likes, so we need to get that to at least 940, even though there's not even 940 people watching. But it'd be nice, right? Why is Maguire captain? He's captain because that was what he was during lockdown. It's just funny, I'll put it on to De Bruyne. There we go. De Bruyne is now captain. That makes a lot more sense. Thoughts about Alonso from Chelsea? Alonso is potentially the ultimate differential going into this last 9 game weeks, right? He's 4.2% owned. I think it might have gone up now because people have been able to make transfers. No, he's still 4.2% owned, 6.2 million, so cheaper than the Liverpool boys. And also, if you go to defenders and put it to points per match, there's an Arsenal guy, Mari, that's played one game that's higher than him. We won't really count. Well, it's the same as him. Alonso's on 7 points per match, which is 1.3 better than Trent. Now, obviously, the caveat is Trent Alexander-Arnold has played way more matches, bigger sample size to get that 5.7. But Alonso's still played, I think, 10 matches where he's played kind of over the amount of time needed to get a clean sheet. So he's been very good. And Chelsea open up with Villa, West Ham, Watford in the opening 4. Yes, Man City are in there too, which is a bit of a pain. We've seen he can be attacking. Will he get that left back spot? I don't know. I feel like that left back spot is a problem for Chelsea. But he did at the end of the last season. He was playing, I think, more often than not. Let me just see. Yeah, he played the last 3 games. Scored 3 goals in the last 3 games as well. So obviously a lot of us are concentrating on Villa because of the double, but really that Chelsea game against Villa, it's a really good game for Chelsea. So yeah, there's plenty of options. Reece James, yeah. Could it be Reece James and Azpilicueta though? Reece on the right, Azpilicueta on the left, or vice versa? I hear you, Physio. Alonso won't start in my opinion. Azpilicueta and Reece first pick. But what was wrong with, was one of those injured then? At the end of last season, I can't quite recall, to be honest. So let me see. Azpilicueta, he played he's played like most games. And Reece James played 2 of the last 3. So did they move to a back 5? Perhaps they did. I can't quite remember, to be honest. You might make top 10k if no one was active. Do you know what? The thought not of getting top 10k didn't cross my mind, but the fact that there probably will be a lot of inactive people, I think I could shoot up the ranks. I could get a fairly respectable rank, and then no one will be the wiser, apart from everyone that's watching this stream. Can you please explain the free hit scenario? Yeah, but it reverts back to whatever your team is now, without transfers. If you've made transfers, you don't get those players, basically. Rashford will play like 70 minutes from the start and then get 80 to 90. To be honest, I know Rashford's been out for a while, so you would expect that, but I think you can probably expect that from a lot of players. Do you know what I mean? I know he had an injury, but 3 months out is a long time to try and pick up your fitness. Yeah, he did play 3 at the back, so what, would that not carry on maybe? Sané should go to Real Madrid, and James Rodriguez should go Man City. Did City need James Rodriguez? I called him James. That's awful. That's awful of me. Sorry. James Rodriguez. Aubameyang versus Aguero for double game week 30. So this is my... Is this sitting on the fence? I don't think so. If I need to pick one player for game week 30, I'm going to go Aguero. If I have to pick a player to keep for the next few games after that, I'm going to go Aubameyang. You think Bruno is essential? I don't think he's essential. I don't want to tag anyone essential, but I think he's extremely good. I even said in the last stream, I think he's arguably one of the best value players in the game at the moment. For you, surely use the free transfers now. Ings should go, say to Doherty, downgrade keeper to fodder, then hit the free hit button and captain Aguero. No, you can't do that. That's what I'm saying. Once you use the free hit, it wipes all the transfers you made. You cannot use the unlimited transfers and the free hit. Let's have a look. Who would you captain? Aguero. De Bruyne is the obvious I think De Bruyne is the obvious captain pick. Because I think I know the home and away thing might not make too much of a difference, but Arsenal's a pretty okay fixture, I think. Although they did look like they were improving a bit defensively, and Burnley's pretty good as well. I just think that's better than Arsenal, Man City, Brighton. So I just think Aguero's so explosive. Or Sterling if you want to go big differential. I'm so tempted by Sterling captain on a free hit. Is it 100% sure that we keep our wildcard if we still had one before lockdown? Yes. You will still have your wildcard. If you've got a wildcard, you basically have got what Matt said. You've got 2 wildcards and a free hit going into the rest of this season, which is crazy. Is Aubameyang not safer to play all the minutes? Yeah, absolutely. Probably he's going to get more minutes, you'd imagine, than Aguero. But and to be fair, Aguero's record is very good. Like, it's not like he's a bad player at all. I don't know. I almost feel like I don't want to miss out on Aguero again. Vardy, I'm not interested in at all. I kind of just spoke about Leicester just a minute ago. The fixtures are okay, but 9.7 million, I just feel like I could better spend that elsewhere, to be honest. Then again, I can't remember. I've done so many videos now, I can't remember where I mentioned it. And like, all teams will do well from having a break in terms of, just getting rested after a kind of long Rawdon season. Yes, he'll have to get back up to match fitness, but Vardy, like old players, not these super old, but older players like Vardy, surely that's gonna really help them going into this, having all that break. So maybe it'll be a great option. Maybe I'll overlook him and it'll be wrong. Are you going to target more relegation Europe chasing players given motivation levels? It's an interesting like question, and like we always talk about this towards the end of the season. Like, this always comes up, right? Whether or not we should target teams that have got something to play for, and also which players will want to play for that. Like, because sometimes like, we say teams are on the beach and that never actually ends up happening. My kind of thoughts, and I said this a while back, way before FPL was back, that surely for most players, they have been 3 months doing nothing. They're going to want to come back and play, regardless of whether they've got something to play for. And there will be some players that just can't be bothered, I'm sure. They're just going to want to get back and get going again, surely. Teams on the beach. I guess they can't go to the beach, can they? So maybe that was a bad. I can't even think of the word. A bad what? A bad reference? I don't know. But yeah, they can't literally go to the beach, but you know what I mean. Thoughts on Spurs going from injury hell to everyone being fit? I know lockdown's been good for Spurs. Didn't I see that Ndombele is out for 3 months though? Am I right? Again, like, I remember saying this in a video. Like, all you got is 9 weeks now, right? So anything can happen over a space of 9 weeks. Like Kane, like people are talking about Kane now. Bad analogy, that's it. See, I'm so bad with words. You wonder why I make videos, to be honest. It's also much better to do non-live videos because you can correct that stuff. But thanks very much. So Kane, for example, right? Look, has Kane been good value this year? No. Has he been good value compared to the other players around his price? Not really. Has he been a good FPL option? I would say no for the most part. But in 9 weeks, could he be good? Of course he could. Like, why not? And, again, talking about players that have needed a rest, I know it's good for every player, but Kane seems to get... Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but like, it always feels like he's rushed back from injury. And this time he's had an injury and an enforced break to kind of recover. Maybe this is what he needs. Like, he hasn't just turned into a bad player. Man United, okay, tricky fixture. Then West Ham, Sheffield United, Everton, Bournemouth. I think Spurs don't have an awesome set of fixtures, but they're not bad either. That's what I would say for them. There's a great bit of analysis. They're not bad. They're kind of like, playing West Ham. Sheffield United could be tricky. Everton, then Bournemouth's good. Arsenal, I mean, who knows? They can put a few goals past Arsenal. So I think they're quite good. I think Son and Kane are probably going to be two of the biggest attacking differentials because a lot of people, but the fixtures are okay. And on their day, yeah, exactly. Finally, Kane has not been rushed back. It's just 10.8 million though, isn't it? So, like Liverpool players, are we going to go without them? We're going to go without De Bruyne or Aguero. Where does Kane fit in? That's what's been tricky about Kane the whole season. Again, if I use my free transfers, my unlimited transfers, I will probably go for Aguero, and I might even look to take him out after the double game week, and maybe that's my shift to Harry Kane. I want to try and be a bit different. That's one reason, like going for this team now. I mean, it's a bit boring, isn't it? It's the same team I had before. How much is my squad worth? I'm not sure. It's not that expensive though, to be honest. Heard nothing about Ndombele injury. Yeah, I mean, it might not be true. I think I saw James, Planet FPL, tweeting about it. I don't know if it's been confirmed. My assumption is, if it hasn't been confirmed at this point, it probably isn't true, but I don't know for sure. Maybe it was Lo Celso instead of Ndombele. I can't remember. I don't know. I've probably got it wrong anyway. My team is almost the same as yours, and I've not touched it yet. Aside from Ings and Maguire, I gave Vardy and Robertson. Yeah, that's decent enough. Free hit draft. I'd tell you now, my draft will probably be like Aguero, Aubameyang, Grealish, 3 Sheffield United defenders, maybe an Aston Villa defender, Sterling, De Bruyne. Job done. That is my free hit draft. I'm going to do a video tomorrow. Basically, the next couple of days will probably be one video not really looking at my team, just looking at various drafts with the unlimited transfers, and then on Wednesday I'll probably do one just based around my team and what I'm gonna look to do. I have so many. Basically, people are going to be sick of me by the time the season starts. There's so much planned, ready and waiting. Not ready and waiting, but they will be ready. Feels like you have too many nostalgia picks. What, in my team? Nah, come on. Is Grealish worth it? Like, no one for Grealish's price in midfielders has scored more points than him. 6.4 million. He's been extremely good value. So I think like he's probably one of the top double game week players just because he's quite easy to put in. Now, whether or not they're good to Aston Villa players are good to hold long term, I mean that is difficult to say because it's Chelsea, Newcastle, Wolves, Liverpool, Man United. Their fixtures are horrible, to be honest. But for 6.4 million, he could still represent value. And if you want to target players with something to play for, Grealish is kind of twofold. One, keep Aston Villa up, and two, I don't think the situation with him in lockdown kind of dragged out or anything like that. But it would be good for him to kind of get back on the pitch and just show people what he can do, and not have to talk about him from like a negative point of view about what happened off the pitch. Buffering, yeah, it might be buffering. Like I know I'm going to be like a broken record saying this every single stream, but like my internet connection is bad enough anyway, let alone when everyone is at home on lockdown, because I've just got like 4G stuff, so it's extremely frustrating. I actually have a friend. I don't think he watches these streams, but he plays FPL. We used to talk about it a lot when I worked at EA. And he's constantly checking up on when our internet, because he lives nearby, when it's going to be upgraded. So for anyone that lives in Ireland who doesn't live in like a big city or like actually in the city, you'll know what the internet can be like. And everywhere's being surveyed at the moment to find out what kind of work needs to be done. So I just hope at some point it gets upgraded. Anyway, that's the reason it's buffering. I apologise. I have got that second channel now. So what I'm going to use that for essentially is to kind of put clips and stuff out from the streams, because obviously I don't want people not to watch the streams, but I also appreciate that not everyone can watch all the streams. So if there's any kind of particularly interesting bits or bits we talk about, I'll put them as kind of highlights. So if you want to subscribe to that. And the thing is, at the same time as streaming it, I'm recording it, so the videos I put out won't suffer from any like lag or anything. So it kind of sucks. I'll put the second channel though, if you want to subscribe to it. I'll put it in the chat. Job done. I'll spam it. That's the last time I spam it today. One other thing I should say as well, Patreons. I haven't got the thing set up, but thanks very much for everyone that obviously I stopped the billing, but thanks for everyone that kind of stayed signed up. I will probably restart the billing for July and then stop it for the end of the season. So there'll be a new mini league for July, which when I've sorted it all out, I'll put out an article and stuff. But that is my current thinking. So thanks for sticking with me. It's been a very weird time. Should we trust players coming back from injury? I guess why would you not trust them? Like, I feel like if a player wasn't ready to play, we'd hear about it. They wouldn't be starting. But a lot of players that were injured long term, like Pereira, for example, we know he's going to be out. The likes of Rashford, Kane, Son, it sounds like they're ready to play. So at this point, I don't really think a player that didn't get an injury is in that much of an advantage, because we hear about match fitness, match rhythm all the time from managers. It's going to take a bit of a while to get up to scratch, and I think that's the same to be said of whether a player's had an injury or not. So I wouldn't be hugely worried about that, to be honest. Like, if you want to go for someone like Rashford or Son or whoever it might, even McGinn, if you really want another Aston Villa midfielder, then I think they'll probably be fine. What we don't know right now is what's going to happen with like team news, press conferences. Like, there isn't going to be press conferences like there was before in terms of all the media in a room with the manager and stuff. That's not going to happen now, unless they can socially distance, I guess. But we haven't really heard anything about what's going to happen there. So a couple of reasons that's going to be a problem. One, we might not get the same team news we did before. And two, because of the way the matches are falling, like, there's literally football every single day. I think Ben Crellin was saying there's only 6 days between now and the end of the season. I think it was that, with no football, which is insane. So because of that, the team news just might be all over the place, to be honest, because usually if you're playing on Saturday, Sunday, you have your press conference on Thursday, Friday, but that's not necessarily going to be the case now, because one team's going to play on Friday, then another one on Saturday, then Sunday, then Monday, and it's going to be the next game week on Tuesday, Wednesday. It's crazy, to be honest. So yeah, there could be virtual Zoom press conferences, basically. Like, I'm sure there will be something. I'm just not sure, whether it'll be good for us. But yeah, I guess to sum up the answer to that question, I am not worrying if a player is back from injury. If the manager says they're fit and ready to play, that's kind of enough for me. I don't think I have to worry any more than that, essentially. Will there be any more blank game weeks? Not unless there shouldn't. Not unless there's postponements. Basically, there's not gonna be blank and double game weeks based on what we know. Essentially. Now, crowd noise. Invest in Arsenal players. Oof. Someone thought I was making a Man City stadium joke on the video, the differential video I did. I absolutely wasn't, but partway through saying it, I did realise people were going to think that. How good will Timo Werner be for Chelsea? I mean, there's a lot of hype around him. Seems like a great player. I must admit, I've barely seen him play. I see a lot of people saying that he's not necessarily going to be the out-and-out striker. He likes to play off a striker. Maybe he could play number 10 or something. But one thing's for sure, Chelsea's team is going to be pretty good next year, especially if the likes of Pulisic can fire. Probably need a left-back. They've got Reece James, Rudiger, Tomori. I can't remember who the other centre-back is they have. Either way, they've got a pretty decent team. That's what I'm saying. But obviously Werner is not. Is it Werner? Werner? I guess it's Werner if he's German. It could be a good option next year. We'll have to wait and see. Not going to be worried about this year. Will Ziyech be in FPL this season? He will not. I don't think so, no. Presses will be like games after Europa League. Going to be hard to get the info before deadlines. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the interesting... So benches... Now, whether or not you should have a strong bench or not is an interesting discussion. In fact, give me your opinion in the chat. And as I finish talking about them, I'll see what your opinions are. What do you think, basically? Let's say you're using your unlimited transfers. Are you going to have a strong bench or not? Now, because I feel like there's going to be more cameos, and we have to accept that. So, like a player could play... I always use Man City players as an example, but let's say they don't start in the first 11, there's probably, because of the 5 subs, there's probably a higher chance they will come on, and maybe they'll get minutes in the next game. So I feel like you're going to get less or 0 pointers, and so less chance of your players coming off the bench. So part of me straight away thought, if I was get unlimited transfers, I'm going to use less money on the bench, because even if my first 11 don't start, hopefully they will come on. But then on the flip side, maybe because of the lack of information we get from a press conference point of view, maybe team news point of view, we just don't know. Maybe there will be kind of 0 pointers, not because managers don't want to bring them off the bench, but more because we don't find out they're injured, so they just miss out completely. Let's have a look. I would likely have a couple of 4.3, 4.2 million defenders to bench, and then Fleck post double game week. Yeah, I mean, Flex 5 million. So for me, I would never usually spend that much on a midfielder. But there are quite a few, you're right, 4.3, 4.2 million defenders. So I feel like unless... I won't get players that don't play completely just for the sake of it. I will try and spend as least as possible. But unless there's something major I need to do with my team, I will look to try and... spend that kind of 4.2, 4.3 million on a playing defender. So Lascelles, Newcastle got quite good fixtures. You've got Taylor at Burnley as well. Holgate, I think, is 4.3 million at Everton as well. 0 pointers due to the virus. And just like training ground injuries or whatever. Yeah, maybe a player... Like one of the things that's happening right now is players are getting tested, but we find out they're from a club. We don't... Unless it leaks, so whether they say something or the club says something or the media leak it, you don't find out who the player is. So again, it's a very niche thing to happen. Like you'd be pretty unlucky if one of your players got coronavirus, I guess. But it could happen. So that's probably why I wouldn't completely tank my bench to have just no players on there at all that are playing. Like Cantwell, I quite like 4.7 million as a midfield option if you want to spend a bit more. It depends heavily on bench boost. Yeah, if you've got a bench boost, you spend a bit more on it, don't you? And if you've got the wildcard, you can always wildcard out of that, so it doesn't hugely matter, I suppose. Why isn't Lundstram 6 million? Lundstram might not even be in the team. Keep your bench exactly the same. Yes, more subs 5, but no info in press conferences, so I think on occasions you'll need them. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Cheap bench, but playing bench like Lascelles and Cantwell, yeah, agree with that as well. So yeah, I think that's... I was going to completely go super cheap with my bench, but I'm still going to go cheap. I'm going to go for playing players just in case. Have you not made any transfers? I've not made any transfers. No. The thing is, I don't want to lock in any transfers because who knows who I might want come next Wednesday. I can go onto the transfer page and make some. I've got 2 million in the bank, so I think some people want to see like some drafts. So let me quickly do, I don't know. I mean, what draft do you want to see? There's so many different variations. Like if I was free hitting this week, I would probably do something like this. Oh, you can't see the players I'm selecting. I've cut that off the screen. But you can see me doing this. So I'd probably go Sheffield United, Henderson. I don't know actually if I would go Henderson. If I'm going to triple up on Sheffield, like I feel like it's Henderson, 2 Sheffield United defenders plus Target, or Leno and 3 Sheffield United defenders. That might be the better way of doing it. So I'm thinking on the fly here a little bit, but Aubameyang in there as well. And let's go back to Sheffield United now. So this is free hit where you're not worrying about what your team is afterwards. Obviously, you're not necessarily gonna go for this on a unlimited transfers if you've not got a wild card or something. Stevens. Click the wrong button there. And my team value is quite bad, so I probably have to keep Egan and go for O'Connell. So that's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Grealish, of course. This is basically where I get a bit stuck with it. So this is a free hit, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 2 more players. I can't get any more Sheffield United players in. Can't get any more Man City. Aston Villa, like, who do I want really? Yeah, exactly. You could go for Fleck in midfield, but not if you want the triple defense. We need a fixtures focused video. Yes, that will happen. Probably. Don't worry. I got lots planned. I can't like release everything in one day. You got to do it daily. Keep it coming. Keep the content coming. McGinn, yes, is an option. Maybe Lacazette if you want to go for a proper punt. But these are probably the double game week players I would definitely pick, and then maybe even go for some single game week players. Samatta, yeah, I can't get excited about Samatta or McBurney, to be honest. I don't know. Saka, yeah. I mean, to be honest, at this point, I'd probably just get single game week players in, even if I was free hitting. Let me fill the team with cheap players to see how much, because I haven't got the best team value, so let me just fill it with cheap players a sec. Like super cheap, like 3.9, like these, like Falquia, never heard of him. Prodal I have, of course, and then a cheap midfielder, although obviously you could go 3-5-2. Guendouzi, there you go, Guendouzi. There's another Arsenal player for you. So 15.5 million, so nearly 8 million spent on these two. You could go Lacazette and McGinn potentially. If you think Lacazette's going to start, does that work? Apart from that's too many Arsenal players. Forget about Guendouzi. You can swap into anyone. Where's McGinn? So you could do that. But I don't know. One of the reasons, I'm thinking that doing this on a free hit is okay is because Liverpool are away to Everton. If there's one team that would like to stop Liverpool's title challenge for another week, it's probably Everton, right? So maybe it's an okay week to go without him. Chelsea could go for Mount, Pulisic maybe. Wolves are obviously a good option as well. But something like that, I suppose. But the more I do this, the more I think, do I really want those players? I hate not being like super excited about double game week, but yeah. If you do that, you can't bench boost. Yeah, but you got to remember, I don't have bench boost. So this is kind of... like I said, there's so many variations about what we can do. Liverpool did batter him, and didn't they even batter him with a kind of not a second string side, but quite a few rested players as well. Yeah, Pepe's another way around it. So you could go 3-5-2, basically. I mean, let's be honest. If you're targeting like a full squad of double gaming players, most people are going to be around something like this, not necessarily this exact team. But yeah, if I had triple captain, what would I be thinking? I mean, it depends. It depends what other chips you have, right? If you've literally got every chip, then I feel like it has to be bench boost into wildcard, into a triple captain at some point and free hit at some point. See what happens, basically. I feel like it has to be that almost. You run out of time to use them otherwise. Though free hit is not necessarily a great chip to have now, but who knows what's going to happen for the rest of 2020. Could have another huge thing happen in the middle of this season and then need that free hit. I mean, again, it probably won't be the biggest of our worries at that point, but you never know. As an Evertonian, I think an empty stadium hurts us against Liverpool. That's a good point, yeah. That could hurt. No crowd to get on their backs. Can Arsenal players really be classed as having a double game? I mean, one game is against Man City. It's a fair point. I do wonder, though, how the non-crowd thing will work for teams. Will it help that? I like the Liverpool thing that not having a crowd against Everton will help. I guess Man City versus Arsenal. I don't know if the crowd would make a huge amount of difference, to be honest. So we'll have to see. Bench boost has to be the double game. Yeah, like I said, I don't have bench boost, so obviously it's very hard to cover it in this stream for every single scenario that everyone has, to be completely honest. What of Aguero in the team? Aguero's in the team. Any way of seeing if you have... if you want to see what chips you got left, hit Game Week history, and then at the bottom it shows you. Am I a little apprehensive about using your free hit now with players being rusty? To be honest, I'm not. Like, I've seen a few people say this, like, the kind of caveat to using chips this week is, well, these players, you don't know who's going to be in form. You don't know who's going to necessarily play. Not only do you not know which players are in form, you don't know which teams are going to be in form. And so who's going to start and all this stuff? How will the subs work out? How will the minutes being managed work out? So I can see why people wouldn't necessarily want to use chips in this first week. But on the flip side, you've only got 9 game weeks to use them. Usually I'd want about 3 or 4 weeks of data before I kind of started making assumptions about teams or players and stuff. But the problem is, if you wait that long, you've only got another 4 or 5 weeks to use the chips. So obviously there's enough time to use them. But will there be as good a week as there is now? So for me, I think if I've got the chips and I kind of know what's happening, I know there's a double game week, and I know right now there isn't going to be another double game week unless there's kind of extenuating circumstances that something happens where a game has to be postponed. So I think you just go with what you know, and what you know is there's a double game week, and you kind of know which players are definitely going to start, at least for the most part. So I would use the chips. It wouldn't worry me too much, but I do get the point that if I use my free hit, it could all go wrong, and I've lost it. But if there's no other double game weeks or blank game weeks, I'm probably not going to need that free hit. Like, I can manage my team, maybe take a few hits if I need to and stuff like that. So I'm not hugely concerned about that, but I do get people's thoughts around it. Quite a few people have said that, to be fair. I guess if you are doing that, when are you going to use the chips instead? Like, how many weeks do you give it when you're confident that a player is in form or a team is in form? Because we saw, like, at the start of the season, someone like Timu Puki, it was like, well, is he actually going to do well? He did well against Liverpool, and some of us didn't go for him, then he carried on doing well. But other times you see a player do well in 1 week, you knee-jerk them in, and then they do pretty bad. So yeah, I think I'd have to use them. Would I use triple captain or bench boost? I think I'd probably use bench boost. It really depends, because like I said earlier, one thing I've noticed is you do have to sacrifice. It depends on your team value, but you do have to sacrifice a little bit. Like maybe someone like Aubameyang or whatever it might be, an expensive player, to get those cheaper single game week players that you can use on the bench. So you are sacrificing a game to get a player with an extra game, but it probably will work out. The other idea, I suppose, is you use the triple captain on a double game week player, and then if you've got your wild card as well, you wild card and set up for a bench boost with single, because you are going to have to, or not you're going to have to, but you are probably going to bench boost with single game week players anyway. So actually, it's not the be all and end all to necessarily use your bench boost this week, especially if you've got your wild card. But basically, the thing I learned from it this year is you have to, you pretty much have to use it a few weeks after the wild card. So you could set up in a few weeks' time for a different single game week players. What you cannot do, there's only 4 teams with double game weeks, right? So you cannot have 15 double game week players. It's impossible. You can only have 12 maximum. So you're going to have a few single game week players. So yeah, that's a good point. You don't necessarily have to use the bench boost this week. It depends whether you can set it up with your wild card. If you've not got a wild card, then I do think bench boost is, and you've got bench boost, it probably is the better week to use it in. I mean, what are you going to get from a bench boost? You're probably going to get 16 to 20 points. Can you get more than that with a triple captain? Maybe. It'd probably be pretty close. The other thing about using a triple captain versus the bench boost is, and this is what goes along with people worrying about what chips to use, or whether they should use chips this early on. At least with the triple captain, you've only got to nail it on one player. With a bench boost, you've got to get 4 players right. So maybe it is a good idea to kind of wait and then use it after the wildcard next week. But again, if that's the way you're going to play it, unlimited transfers for the double game week, then wildcard out of that, you're only going to have 1 week's worth of data to build that bench boost. Now, that might be a lot of data, but at the same time, it's just 1 week. It might not tell you everything you need to know, if that makes sense. So there's kind of pros and cons for everything. And yeah, single game week bench boosts are right. Like some of us, you get McNeil in, he goes absolutely nuts. Anything to talk about that bench boost. Oh dear, got a cough. into your elbow. That's proper coronavirus etiquette. Do I think building this team makes sense? What are you going to do in the next game? No, this is the problem with streaming, because people come in at different times. People don't know what chips I've got. Maybe I should have put that on the screen. But yeah, this is my team. I'm not going to build towards that team out of unlimited transfers. If I do unlimited transfers, I will make a more balanced double game week and non-double game week side. Good free hit out of the double game week and then wildcard. Oh my days. People with chips have got so many options. Although I think the way the unlimited transfers work, it is better to have the chips. It probably is a bigger headache as well. Don't you think for you to climb the ranks, going ultimate differential going UTT is a massive differential for you having pool players? I don't know what you I don't know what you mean. Unlimited transfers. Harvey Barnes outscored McNeil. Pipe down. You went 2 weeks too early. Look, I said that week was good as well. That Barnes was the one I was going to look for in that week. But look, whatever. I had Barnes. Just good. But you're right. He was very good that week. Why are you talking about using wildcard or free hit when we have unlimited transfers? Oh, you need to go back to the start if you're wondering why we're talking about that. It's a headache, I'm telling you. Can you use unlimited transfers to set the team up, then use the free hit for the double game week? No. What do I think about Pulisic? There's a very good article on Fantasy Football Scout about Pulisic, and I have owned him this year, and his stats have been very, very good, but he has been frustrating to own, I think, because he just hasn't. I think it was about 2 or 3 game weeks where he got like 4 or 5 goals. Not really done a huge amount. He gets the chances, just hasn't so far at least been able to put them away. No, it's all good. I'm only messing about people not seeing the rest of the stream. That is the problem with streaming. You don't see, if you don't watch it from start to finish, you don't see everything else. Why were the head-to-head leagues cancelled? I'm not sure. Maybe they just couldn't do anything about them. Is Riyad Mahrez a good option? If he plays, yes. He's been very good when he's played. It's been good 2 to 3 years following you, but due to different times, I never got a chance to catch up with your live shows thanks to my change in work time. Is your first live catch-up? How's it going, Suresh? Glad you could join us. Hopefully the clips on the other channel will help a little bit. I know some people just want to watch the whole stream, which is great. But yeah, hopefully the clips will help a little bit. Pulisic, worst player you bought this year. Yeah, he hasn't been great. Some players I'm giving a clean, like Sterling is one that I'm definitely giving a clean slate to, who I think could do well, even though he hasn't done well. Pulisic, we haven't really seen enough of him to maybe give him that, but yeah. We need a fixtures video. The fixtures video will not be tomorrow. It is on the list. Honestly, the list is so long. I may have a video or stream every single day until the season starts. I think. We'll see, but I think I will. Benjamin from New Zealand, how is it going? Sterling ruined my season. Yeah, Sterling hasn't been great, although game week 1, that hat-trick was amazing. FA Cup, it's not going to affect the double game weeks. You're going Burnley. I mean, by looks of it, you are a Sheffield United fan, so you would know more than me. If you're going for a striker for Sheffield United, it has to be him, right? Are you not excited like me because we don't have the second wild card? Literally the most uninspiring start to FPL. It is a little bit. Yeah, I get it. I really want to use unlimited transfers, but it seems very boring that free hit is the way to go. I'm doing a video on the Fantasy Football Scout channel tomorrow with Joe, like a rate my team thing. And he is in the same situation as me, where I think he only has free hit left. He definitely doesn't have his second wild card. So he's thinking about not using unlimited transfers. I'll find out exactly what he's thinking about tomorrow. But yeah, make sure to sub to the Fantasy Football Scout channel as well and catch that. 2 days off work, very nice. I got the complete opposite. It's going to be extremely busy for work, as you can imagine. If given a choice between De Bruyne or Aguero, who do you pick? I mean, probably De Bruyne for kind of more chance of getting better minutes, but Aguero's the more fun pick, isn't he? Why? Oh, I've still got Maguire. Okay, ignore Maguire captain. It's just a joke left over from lockdown. He's not my captain. Just made a draft double game week team. 7 million in the bank. Damn. Do I think Laporte is a good option now instead of a second pool defender? Yes, because of the double game. I've only got 2 Liverpool players, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Salah, and I'm pretty happy with that right now. I know that Liverpool have been really good, and there's nothing to say they won't carry on being, but it might be a good time to risk going without 3. And so downgrading someone like Robertson to a Laporte could give you a bit of money. Connor, I do, yes. Very stalkerish. I'm not really messing. -7, sorry. I thought you had 7 million in the bank. I was thinking, like, I know my team value's bad. I'm not sure it's that bad where someone else has got 7 million in the bank. Let me. A gym's open, not yet. I really wish they would be. Do you think people have lost interest in FPL? I'm sure some people have, but I'll tell you now, not a huge amount. Like, obviously, I'm looking at not all the time, but I do look at like numbers and stuff of streams and who's watching, the numbers on a video and stuff. And I'll tell you now, like, when people were saying like people are never going to come back with interest in FPL, people have forgotten about football. I was sat quietly thinking you're absolutely wrong. People are going to love it when it comes back, and obviously people haven't got much else to do right now, and so it's not like there's 836 people watching right now. Given we're at the end of the season, I would say that's quite high, although it is probably a little bit higher because obviously the game has relaunched. And that will go down as the rest of the season carries on. But that's quite good for this time of the season, I would say. So I think there's going to be quite a few people. It'll be more noticeable over the next coming days when I see like interaction on videos and stuff. Like video numbers are quite a good indication of who's interested. Because like if you go back to August, you'll see the numbers are a lot different than when you get to February, right? Because people start to lose interest. So it's not the be-all and end-all, but it's a good indication of how many people are playing. Do you think many will be playing FPL? I do, yeah. I'm not saying that everyone's going to play out the 9 weeks, but you got unlimited transfers no matter what position you were in. I don't know, let's say you got 4 or 5 mates who gave up after 2 months. Well, now you can create a league for 9 weeks, do unlimited transfers and just see who wins. So I do think some people will come back, yeah. Now that you're back on the streams, don't forsake your cute dog. The dog, don't worry, the dog's looked after. Mrs. down there. No kidding, games haven't even been played. I'm not sure what you mean. That's probably in relation to something I just said, but I don't know what. Mine Villa, no way. You were playing, were you? I wonder what I was doing there then. Hoping no one realises for green arrows. Yeah, exactly. The less people that play, the more likely we'll get green arrows. Did I just hear you say once I've set up my team using as many transfers as I can? You know, you can use your free hit, but you would lose all those transfers you made. I think this is a good time in a minute to start ending the stream because it's just the same question about the free hit now, and I've kind of already explained it quite a bit. What else have we got here? So glad, Richie. So glad FPL is back. Great to see you live streams. Thank you. I'm very happy to be back. Honestly. It's been a rubbish time without football and FPL. A lot of transfers happening. Yeah, that's also a good indication. See how many transfers are happening. What do I suggest? No, kind of talked about that already. How's everyone doing? I'm doing great, Tim. How are you? I must admit, at this point, I'm kind of, as the Irish would say, I'm over it. I'm over lockdown now. But we keep plodding away. We keep staying at home. It does feel like things are getting a little bit back to normal with all the kind of shops open and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, it's still going to be a weird time, right? If you could all do me a favour, right, I'm going to ask you for 2 more favours before we go. 1, if you haven't already, like the stream. Be much appreciated. Like, we are on... What are we on? 225 now. So we could probably get to 300 if you all tried really hard. Otherwise, 250 would be good. And if you haven't already, even though I said I wasn't going to plug it again, make sure to check out the second channel and subscribe to that. Like a lot of it will just be clips from the streams, but there might be some bit of other stuff on there as well. This is the team for the restart. This is my team on screen right now. So go and like the stream. Go and subscribe to the other channel. Be much appreciated. So schedule-wise, so I'm basically, after today, this will be the last stream till Sunday. I probably won't do another stream till then. And then Sunday, I'll be back from the 9 p.m. slot, which kind of works quite nicely because there will be games on Sunday at 7 o'clock, I think, which will finish just before 9, so it's like perfect timing. So Sunday at 9 o'clock from this week Sunday at 9 o'clock is going to be the live stream time. Now the live streams might change a little bit because the deadlines are so weird now. There's so much football, but it's hopefully every Sunday at least, and then maybe another one in between. But otherwise, all the normal videos. So make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. Hit that notification bell. Keep hitting that like button. We are so close to 300. We're on 291 right now. And make sure you subscribe to that other channel. And it's called More Let's Talk FPL because it's not just necessarily FPL. There's a whole video about that. Matthew, thanks very much for that. Just before we close down. Connor, yeah, that sounds about right. Have I been doing any training? Have you started? No, you started running before lockdown. Honestly, I'm up and then I'm down, up and then I'm down. So yeah, I have been doing some, not enough, I would say. Not really running because it just does my knee in, to be honest. I'm doing quite a bit of walking. I know I'm spamming a lot. I'm sorry. I'm basically done now, to be honest with you. That's quite a long stream. That's one of the longest we've done for a long time. Nearly an hour and a quarter. I don't usually go that long anymore. But there we go. Job done. Thanks for tuning in. We hit 300 likes. Very, very much appreciated. Hit subscribe if you're new around here. Check out the other channel. And try and enjoy the time between now and the season starting, because although it feels stressful with all the chips and stuff to think about, it's going to be just as stressful when FPL actually launches. It's good to be back. Thanks very much, Matthew. It's good to have you all back here as well. I will see you soon. I'm going to hit that end stream button. I'll see you on Sunday. Hopefully I'll have a better clue about what I'm doing by then. Plenty of videos to come before then. See you soon.